Good afternoon. I think I am audible, right? Okay. I'll start up. So by now you have seen the presentation title. I will continue with from where my colleague left. By the way, Design It and Wipro Digital is a joined up company, and just before you heard from my colleague. Just a coincidence. Anyways. So we were hearing about design and innovation, and I will try to put an architectural view into it. By the way, this will be organizational architecture view. Yes, I will touch upon technology, but very, very little. Okay. Well, that guy looks like me. It's me, actually. My name is Trishit. I'm Chief Architect in Wipro Digital, responsible for architecture consulting, runs the consulting business. Lot of text, not too much important. What is important is I'm a practicing architect, strategist. I love design thinking, and a passionate advocate for business change. So with that, let's move on. Let's first clarify, take a moment to clarify what digital is. Anybody like to volunteer what you think digital is? What is digital? Anybody? No? This is our view of digital. It's beyond technology. It's the way you live, starting from your education, to your fitness, to your travel, to your transactions, smart homes, insurance, healthcare, go on and on. Can we actually live without digital today? Stupid question, right? So basically, our view is digital is essentially a lifestyle, a way of working and living. And from an enterprise context, it's a whole different business model altogether. And that's how we view digital within our context. So this is a list of most admired companies of the world published by Fortune end of March. And if you look at the top familiar names, no suspect, Apple, Google, Amazon, Nike, Starbucks, etc., etc. What do they do actually? What do they offer? Is Apple a technology company? Is Apple selling products? Yes. Is it all? Fundamentally, what Apple sells, the customer loyalty for Apple is because of the experience Apple brings in. Will you go for an iPhone without the app stores? Will you go for Google? What Google brings in is beyond technology, right? And the list goes on. Amazon, they have redefined the way you experience digital interactions, including transactions. So what is happening is, this is our observation, that enterprises are transforming from a traditional product or service model into an unified experience delivery platform. As an individual, if you connect as an individual, do we really buy product or service as of today? Or you go for an experience? We no longer buy product or services. We buy experiences. We love experiences. We are human beings, and we are personal in nature, emotional in nature. So the world around us is changing. The wind of change is there, and it has been there forever. The magnitude, the perspective, and the velocity has changed, and it's impacting every business, every day, in every sector. So if you look at the consumer's context or customer's context, what customers are looking for today are smarter products, better services, and more meaningful experience which can seamlessly connect to what is happening in their life. The product or services you go for has to seamlessly tie into what is happening in customer's life, relevance, rather than buying in. So the only way to avoid commodity trap is to be relevant for your customer. And in many ways in our life, the experience we get from the product or services we go for becomes far more important than the product or service itself. I was referring to Apple. Apple experience is far more important, it's far more attractive, far more relevant than the mere technology device. It's what you can do with an Apple ecosystem brings in continuous customer to Apple, not the iPhone or iPad or iPod. Similarly, these things resonate with many other organizations, many other perspectives. Why the experience becomes so important? Because, as I said, we are human beings and we will still remain to be human beings. We are emotional, we love empathy, we love proximity. So the experience you can share, experience you can embrace, the experience you can repeat, not the product. Will you share your phone with your friends? No, right? Will you share your personal experience through your phone with your community? That's the value proposition of today, not the product itself. So, the context is changing. It's from a product or service traditional concept. It's emerging to be the infusion of product, service, and technology, which can provide a truly unified customer experience that's becoming relevant. And irrespective of whether we like it or not, this will become the key component of any corporate strategy of the future. The differentiation is no longer in commodity products. Differentiation is no longer in commodity service. The differentiation is what we are bringing into the table in terms of how our customers experience what we do. And in our organization, we call it unified product service experience, and we believe that it will create value beyond a silo, beyond one single category, one single unit, one single segment. The important part is, of course, the unified product service experience. It's not either or. You cannot have a great product and crappy service or vice versa. And customers don't care whether it's a product or service as long as it provides the experience they want, the purpose they want to pursue through your product or service. The product and services are mere means to a larger purpose or the end. And that's where the industry is going. And why I am telling it in digital context, because in digital era, the proliferation of choice has made it more attractive, provocative, and from the customer's point of view, and complex and challenging from the organization's point of view who are on the service provider side. But it's not rocket science, right? We are basically talking common sense. It's nothing drastic, it's nothing rocket science that it cannot be done or it has been coming into the foray on the 10th of June 2016 right here in IT University of Copenhagen. It's been there forever. And it's nothing new. And trust me, I was talking to Milan just a few minutes back. Customer experience-driven, unified service and product experience is there for decades. I joined BCG in 2002, and from then, we have been doing this. This has become more popular, more focused in recent times. But it's a beginning. There is a new beginning. What is the new beginning? Is the understanding of the value of customer experience. So, what it takes is a cross-silo, cross-department, whole of enterprise view or whole of customer journey and customer experience view of your product and service offerings. Of course, it will need a brave move. You need to be creative, you need to be inspiring, and this instigate a change. You, as an enterprise, must embrace that change, and at bare minimum, you need to change the way an organization works. Embrace an outside-in approach from a traditional inside-out approach. It's not about what you do, what you sell, what you are good at. It's about what your customer is looking for, what problem you can solve for the customer, how you can bring value to your customer's life. It's not about selling things, it's about co-creating experience and value for your customer. So if you have to do this, you have to give away a silo thinking. You can't think in silo. You can't think that's someone else's problem. You can't have a mindset that this is not what I do. And yesterday, I liked Nick representing IBM and talking about design. It's a compulsion, right? It's not a choice. IBM is moving that way. Every single organization is moving in that way. And to be perfectly honest, I represent Wipro Digital, which is a part of mothership Wipro organization, one of the largest IT service provider of the world. The very reason Wipro has created Wipro Digital as a digital consulting arm tells the story, right? It's not by choice. It's a question of relevance. Survive through excellence or become irrelevant. And no one is too big to fail. So relevance is actual success, it's not the revenue. It's not how big you are. I will be stupid if I ask the house a question, do you use digital photography? Everybody does, right? Digital photography has become the norm. Can anybody recollect which company has invented digital photography? Kodak. Where they are? Because Kodak, back in 1984 or 85, they invented digital photography and decided that we are into filmmaking business, role-making business. Digital photography is not the future. Rest is history. Right? Nokia, BlackBerry, I can go on and on and on. And yesterday, Patrick was providing an interesting statistics, right? How much percentage of the big shots went out of business in a span of 10 years? Anybody who are a bit senior than me will recollect the days when I was in the schools. Lehman Brothers were undisputed leaders in asset finance and investment banking business, right? Lehman Brothers. They went bankrupt. And I would like to share a personal story. My first board meeting in my career was in Lehman Brothers, where, of course, I was a junior consultant, and my job was to take the minutes in the meeting. I was part of the recommendation that we made. We recommended Lehman Brothers to change their business model, offerings, and understand their customers' view better. We were shown the doors straight away. Lehman Brothers doesn't exist today, right? It's not about how big you are or how great you are today. And purely my personal observation is, if Intel does not change the way they do business, sooner or later, Intel will follow the history. Yes, last month they have reported around $2 billion profit in one quarter. Huge company, right? What many people have not noticed is Intel's profit has gone down by 12%. Until today, Intel's 84% revenue comes from desktop high-end processing chips, right? How good is the prospect for desktop computing? And last year, Intel turned down Apple and Google to partner with them in mobile chip innovation. If this continues, sooner or later, it will all be AMD chips, including desktop. So coming back to the point, what I was saying is relevance is a means of success, not the size. And you have to be relevant to your customer. You have to be relevant to the community you serve. So I will take you through a couple of cases of how you can bring relevance, how you can design services, product service experience, which change the life and experience of your customer. I'll start with, I will not name the government because I'm compelled with the confidentiality. It's one of the government in Middle East case I'm referring about, where we have went for an integrated public service design, which was mapped to citizens' life cycle event, which was mapped to what happens in their customer's life, and focused on outside-in approach, touch points, and things like that. And the purpose of doing this was not merely better government service. The purpose, the tagline of our engagement was to improve new parents' life. So what we did, I will show a very simplistic picture, simplistic view. So when you welcome a newcomer into the planet, a childbirth, right? Many of you have experienced that magic, right? When a child is born, along with joy comes the responsibilities, right? And you have to run around and knock multiple government entities' doors to get your services, right? So let's look at two ends of the story. Imagine, for the senior parents, if you can virtually roll back life and reimagine the day your kid is born, if it is today, You will go into probably a specialized kids superstore, buy everything you want, starting from a diaper to perambulator to blankets to baby oils, etc., etc. And in most of the scenarios, the provider will give you a fantastically packed, wrapped childbirth hamper, maybe in a discounted price. Do you care how do they operate, how do they integrate those products which comes from different suppliers? Why the hell you need to care government as multiple departments? A child is born, one of the best days in your life. Why can't you inform the government that a child is born, take care of the formalities? Right? So at minimum, by the way, this is my child's 6-hour-old photograph, a bit dated. He will turn 7 in August. So at minimum, you will need a birth registration. Again, I'm trying to paint a simplistic story. You need a citizenship. You need a residential identity, because on the specific countries require that, including the US, UK, and the Middle East countries. And at minimum, you need neonatal health care, including vaccination, including emergency health care, and et cetera, right? The dependency, however, is on that particular case, you can't get a citizenship without having a birth certificate. You can't get a residence ID without having a citizenship information validated, and your government will not provide free or complimentary neonatal health care unless you have a valid resident identity. What people used to do is run around all the departments, give them loads of documents, 90% duplicate documents, redundant documents, and wait for 6 to 8 weeks for things to happen. So what we have changed is we have created a service, we have designed a service where the parent can come, say that this is the date of birth, this is the hospital information, hospital will provide a hospital record number, this is my citizenship information or my resident status, upload the documents, choose which services you want, in which mode, priority service or basic service, in which channel. It doesn't need to be digital only. You can walk into the government service center, you can do it on your mobile, you can do it on the web page, web portal, and you can do it in the specialized service center as well. Why you need to select the services? Because, for example, for expats, citizenship is not given by that country, right? They need to get the citizenship record from their host country, and otherwise it cannot move. So I will not cover that complication. Let's take the simplistic part. And you just pay once for the services, and rest of them government will take care. So what happens? What happens next? Ministry of Health, based on validating hospital record number and validating parents' information of residency and citizenship, they issue you a birth certificate. So they validate the information, which comes from a central agency. I will come back to that central agency in a minute. Passes on to Ministry of Interior, who issues passport, whose responsibility is to issue passport. They validate the birth registration only, assuming and trusting that the residency and citizenship information is already being validated. And the beauty of that part is this ministry did not have an automated system to issue passports. And we haven't broke our head in building an automated system. Only thing we have built is we have created another instance, installed another instance of the centralized document management system from where the officers can see the documents, right? Then it moves on to residency permit, where the citizenship information is validated by Central Informatics Organization, who eventually holds the citizenship and residency information. They validate the citizenship information, passes it back to Ministry of Health to initiate neonatal healthcare activities. What we have done is we have inbuilt a culture of trust, collaboration, and joined up working across the ministries, which has never ever happened before. Was it easy? No. Really very difficult. The most difficult part was to convince the stakeholders that you need to work in that model. Because there was always a bureaucratic way talking that we have always done it X way. We have taken almost 12 months to syndicate this with the government leaders. We have to get a buy-in from the head of the state, and we have to undergo a policy change at government level. The syndication and the buy-in took 11 months. The policy and regulation change took 3 days. Okay? And of course, we have to bring in all the ministries. I have painted a simplistic view. There are actually 7 ministries involved, not 3. So that's what we have done. And the fundamental question is, it's obvious that it will change the life of the citizen or resident, right? Give them more time. What is in it for the government? Why on earth government will be interested in it? What it did for the government is this. 75% faster time to serve, 54% reduction in average cost of service delivery, 21% increase in their vacant role fulfillment. They were out of people. Of course, it has eliminated a huge amount of front office workforce, right? Which we have purposefully repositioned in other departments where it needs. And of course, not only this one, there are few other integrated life event-based services like utility payment, like visa services and others. In combination, this country from rank 56 or 58 in UN Public Service Index went to 13th in global, first in Middle East and Asia. And the most important part is it has changed the way government operates. It has changed the way government govern. It has bring in an integrated, connected government paradigm where government is a single point of contact irrespective of which ministry is providing the services. So that's the government story. I'll bring you into a more recent story, which still we are working on. It has not yet been finished. It's running in UK. My team is involved into it. And one last thing I will mention before jumping into it is on that previous thing, what we have done is we have taken a different view of integration. Yes, we have integrated government, but the integration was purely based on interaction and customer journeys. So it's interaction-driven integration rather than system-driven integration. My team has filed a patent on interaction-driven integration as well. If you are interested, you can Google it and see what the concept is all about. The second one, okay, let's take a scenario. I will try to do it first. Meet this lovely teenager, Ellie, who has come to university. She wants to open a current account, otherwise she can't access the grant money. It's specific to UK context. And she's a digital native, like some of you, all can't live without phone, always in a speed and pace life, hates installing apps on her phone for no purpose, etc., right? So what we call it is a concept of in 24. Idea is within 3 to 4 working days, within 24 to 32 hours, we will conceptualize a design working along with the stakeholders, relevant stakeholders. Of course, there is a longer user research goes into play. So the flow goes like this. Ellie follows the link, find the bank, do an online chat, enter her personal details online, pause or proceed based on her choice, receives a mail, or she decides to hand over the document in the branch. There is a pause channel as well, and after validating the documents, again, this is a simplistic view, gets her account opened within 24 hours time. An interesting bit is she can pause and return, right? Maybe in a completely different channel. How many of you have a technology background here? Okay. Now imagine, we are talking about multi-channel architecture only, right? How would you have typically designed a multi-channel architecture against, if you have this scenario, how you will design a multi-channel architecture? Yesterday somebody asked how you provoke the technology people to think in experience, right? Stories work for everybody when it relates to them. Right. I will skip a few. This is the requirement and where does the buy-in process helps, how does it happen? And our observation over last few years of research is people take decision when they are emotionally most comfortable. So you need to create empathy with the user. In a typical buying cycle, user will be unsure at certain juncture, and typically it happens just before buying it in. So bring in the empathy, provide additional assistance, and the magic will happen. I will skip a few. I will just touch upon this. Personalization. How many times you have filled an online form where it starts from whether you are Mr. or Mrs. or a doctor, what is your name, irrespective of when you have told it before. We are humans, right? We are not robots. What if a bank asks you like this? Right? So this is change of perspective. Being personal, start from the user. Okay. So these are service design, business design stories, right? Where the hell architecture fits in? I'm a chief architect, right? By the way, what I'm telling is an architecture story itself. And as I promised, I will touch upon technology, but please excuse me that I will not talk about technology in details. Okay. Will anyone imagine this being built without an architect? Anybody? Then building a better experience and life for customer, and through that building a better enterprise is no different, right? You need to architect customer experience. You need to architect integrated product services offering. And we believe delightful experience needs to be architected at the intersection of strategy, design, and technology. And if you do not understand these three and cannot connect the dot between strategy, design, and technology, again, excuse me, you are not really a professional architect. You have a few miles to go. So we believe architects are trusted partner in your journey of excellence because they enable pragmatic informed decision making from a management side, and importantly, including rationalized, convincing no. Don't do nonsense. That's the job of an architect, to point out that what you are dreaming has a consequence, and this is the consequence. If you cannot take that consequence, bloody don't do it. And I'll not read through all of them. This is what we believe a seasoned enterprise architect should have, that they need to bring holistic perspective connecting strategy, business, and technology. Architecture is not about what happens in the box. Architecture is about interrelation and connection between things. It's not about the structure, it's about how the structure integrate and interoperate as a whole. They help crafting and syndicating strategy, enable optimal traction, etc., etc. And more importantly, architects operate as a tech-savvy business designers and strategists. Tech-savvy is important for everybody in this world today, but they are not mere IT professionals, neither they are pure framework geeks. If you are a framework geeks, get your math right. Okay. So, how do you architect such a change? What considerations you need to have when you architect such a positive change? It's a balance between customer experience and digitized capability, right? I will not read through them. So basically, your job is to embrace customer journey engineering, preach for customer delight, acquisition and retention of the customer, and at the same time, bring in operational excellence. I hate the term efficiency. Efficiency means too many things, and it's not about cost, it's about value. So what it takes, a typical digital enterprise, center of this is digital organization, a key theme. You have to be anytime, anywhere available. You have to have a set of well thought out digital capabilities which link back to your customer life cycle. You need to provide integrated experience through an integrated ecosystem. Don't ever think that you will do everything on your own. You have to partner with organizations, people, and things. You need to be insight-driven, event-enabled organization, true sense, flexible, multi-speed IT, because let's be real, you can't throw away the existing IT infrastructure or IT estate, but at the same time, you have to innovate at varying speed. Resilience of your organization, which essentially the key is to drive higher business value and shorter time to market. To achieve that, you essentially need to change the way of working, change the people and culture, set up a governance model, and personalize your internal experience as well. I thought so. So whether you are fit or not, you need a fitness to venture into this, right? And the fitness is not the same for everybody, right? Usain Bolt's fitness requirement will not be same as mine, right? Or Cristiano Ronaldo versus Usain Bolt. So it's about being fit for purpose. Understand your purpose. What are you trying to deliver? what is your value and whether you are capable to deliver this. And these are the elements that goes in. I have tried to bring in a symmetry. So it starts with your differential offering and business capabilities, level of digitization, channel diversity, product service coverage, etc., etc. Merchant and partner ecosystem, autonomy and integration. Of course, autonomy, cohesion discussion we had yesterday. Speed, agility, and responsiveness and collaboration. If you can't deliver it in speed, nobody is going to wait for you for next 2 years to deliver something. Doesn't make sense. Again, I will skip that reading, which essentially the architecture paradigm is you start with your customer journey at the center, look at the end-to-end service chain, how the customer journey maps and delivered through your systems, design your interaction, and therefore design integration accordingly, put out a cost and financial model for your service delivery model, governance, personalization. And the important thing is how do you ensure that your ecosystem is interoperable with the larger ecosystem you operate. Starting from capability and functional interoperability, channel, product, information insight, technology, as well as partner integration. So, in last 1 minute, I will give you some different representation of an architecture. Not because it looks cool. The architecture representation is concentric because the parameters of an architecture remain the same, but the importance of those parameters are fluid. In one business context, one particular parameter can be interchangeable between central and peripheral. And we believe that conventional architecture representation doesn't allow it to do that. In certain cases, your enterprise records management can be central. In most of the cases, it will be peripheral. Customer experience should be central in all the cases, but in some exceptional cases, it can be peripheral. And that's why we represent architecture in a concentric way rather than a typical stack-based way. And then you zoom in inside, and I have tried to make it a bit attractive. I'm not going to go around the details of the architecture. And the point is, you need to bring in agility in your architecture. If your architecture is not flexible to change by itself, and it cannot deliver outcome at speed, don't fall into the trap of an architect creating documentation for 5 months. World will not wait. I'm not saying don't create architecture documentation, but need to be agile. And at last, most people forget about this: security. More we go digital, more it will become prudent, and prudent. Think about security not as a peripheral system. Build in security into your capabilities, not only technology. How you can think of security when you are conceptualizing how a customer will deal with you. You can have a fantastic experience, you can have a fantastic customer journey laid down. If the customer is suspectful that their credential is not secure with you, gone. Okay. With that, if I haven't wasted your time, and if you have any question, please go ahead.